This week, spies on campus. We expose the University of Johannesburg's undercover operations.
Kwenzalani ngendaba ye-strike sabo kwamele sithole information ukuthi baplana ini bacabangani.
This is Checkpoint and I'm Nkepile Mabuse. The University of Johannesburg spent 6.3 million rand beefing up security during student protests in 2015. Even more may have been spent last year, but those figures haven't yet been released. UJ students who have long objected to a private security presence on campus allege that they are being followed and spied on. Producer Busisiwe Gumede and cameraman Ashley Market provide compelling evidence that Big Brother is watching.
A bus shuttle service transports University of Johannesburg students between campuses and residences. It's on these megabuses that many informal debates are held, more often than not, focusing on fees must fall campaigns. But unbeknown to many students, there are ears and eyes all around.
In this sense, every day our duty like good Tina, kwamele sithole information ukuthi kwenzarani emabhasini.
Security guard Busisiwe Gumede, not his real name, says he's been planted at UJ to gather information on student protest action. Gumede isn't your typical security guard. He spends 12 hours a day undercover on a megabus, eavesdropping on the chats of UJ students.
Kwenzalani ngendaba ye-strike sabo ukuthi baplana ini bacabangani.
He works for Bold Heart Group, a private security company appointed by the university. In each megabus, there are at least 2 security guards, says Busisiwe.
Amabhasi ethu ay-15 thina siba-32 njengamabhasi amakhulu angamade. Usually wona-ke athanda ukhanjiswa nga-3 yabantu ngoba omunye uzohlala phambili, omunye aphana indawo, omunye abesemuva because of yini. Mohleli ituro ezi-3 ngaphambili akhona ukuze umuntu ukhuluma emva kwakho 3 step away.
Busisiwe's daily routine starts early and there's no time for slacking.
5 o'clock kwamele sibe semsenzini because amaklasi abathatha ngo-6 o'clock.
He has mastered the art of blending in.
Into esenzayo kumele sigqoka njengabo iy'ngane zesikolo. Nathi siphathe amabhegi ukuthi nabo babone ngazathi nathi siyigroup yabo ukuthi siyingane zesikolo, kanti lutho thina siyazi ukuthi sibhekene nesifuna umsebenzi wethu yini. Njengoba thina samanagadi mangizongena ngesithole student masifuna ukuxoxa nami kanje ngiyaxoxa naso ezini like umngani mangimtshengisa ukuthi mina ngomunye umuntu ngiyaxoxa ezini like sabochomi mina naye so that I feel that comfort ukuthi okay is one of umuntu wethu sonke lona.
And he uses unobtrusive ways to record information.
Usually awasiphi into zokurecorda ngoba nakhona kuba ingozi ngoba yini inkinga ababaza kupha mhlawumbe njengoto abathi over izokucheshe ibonisa ukuthi wena awusoni part of igroup yabo. Into esenzayo usually siphatha incwadi, kunencwadi abazibiza ukuthi ama-pocket book la amancane. Whatever yonke into oyibonayo you write down, uyibhala phansi, and then whatever ihluphayo ifoni kwamele ihlale unayo ifoni esikhwameni sakho.
When we return, where are the spies now? For months, Checkpoint producer Busisiwe Gumede has been piecing together evidence that the University of Johannesburg spies on its students. Are these clandestine operatives still on campus?
In his time as a spy, Sibusiso says he has at least once managed to collect critical information that led security to students who were planning a multi-varsity protest.
Abantu abaphethe abathathu sabathola bona babangena emabhasini bayakhuluma amagama thina ukusebenzile sibambe amagama lamalile ayibongo zabo it was hard ukuthi singazithola but bona ngoba sawabona officially so sakhona ukuthi sibapoint out amalile khona ubenzani ubalanda
Babalande kuphi?
Babalande egedini yase-UG e-PK so babathola lapho babathatha babafaka ama-question.
He fears having his cover blown.
Kukwaba nalesikhathi la nabo sebathola khona information ukuthi la emabhasini ngathi siyagadwa kodwa asazi isigada wobani mabakhuluma bona bathi hayi sike sithule mangibezwe bathi hayi ithini isiqede lokho sikwenzayo esibhalayo kodwa laba abala emabhasini abasigadayo sizolwa back and sizobathola ukuthi abobani lokho kubangithusa kodwa nakhona abaleso sibini sokuthi hayi ngoba manje abantu angithi sachintshisana amabhasi ayatshintsha kodwa kuyoba nzima ukuthi benze njani basithole. Ngiyabasaba ngoba bayigroup and noma balwa nawe mowedwa ngaleso sikhathi leso ayikho into oyenza.
But the financial benefits outweigh the risks.
Ilanga lilodwa bayibhadala 300 rand each day.
He has no payslip, no contract, no paper trail linking him to this work. He says Bolthart has foot soldiers who deliver the cash to his home. Bolthart is owned by Bruno Mnamdi, who, according to his social media profile, is a former UJ student highly skilled in VIP protection and event security. The Bolthart Group isn't the only company that secures UJ's various campuses. Fidelity Group is also on campus. Their guards, who wear uniform, were on many occasions deployed to control Feesmasville protests last year. For weeks, Checkpoint tried to catch a Bolthart underguard in action, but when we failed to spot one, we inquired from this Fidelity security guard at UJ whether he knows of their existence. We filmed him using a spy camera. He confirmed to us that Bolthart guards provide an undercover service at the university and that they are called Bruno's people. By that incident, he means the day in November 2015 when students were accused of torching this bus ahead of a court appearance by some 150 of them charged in connection with unrest related to Feesmasville activities. It was at the height of the campaign, and it appears to have led to increased overt and covert security on campus. And buses seem to have been placed at the center of intelligence gathering. No students were ever charged for this act of arson. The removal of so-called underguards seemed to coincide with Checkpoint's inquiries to the university about allegations of spying. At the time, most students would have been oblivious.
Last month, or whatever corner last month.
Checkpoint tried to reach Bruno Mnamdi, the owner of the security company in question, for comment. He asked that we call him again that afternoon.
I'm in a meeting. Can you please call me back after an hour?
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Since then, he hasn't picked up our calls. The use of private security guards on campus is one of the many thorny and unresolved issues between management and student bodies. WITS, Tshwane University of Technology and UJ Management say private security guards are there to prevent violence. But co-founder of Right to Know, Dale McKinley, says undercover security has sinister undertones.
First, I think the biggest concern should be that it reminds us of our past. Activists in the anti-apartheid days were surveilled, they were organizations were spied on. The state was treating its citizens as enemies, essentially. And it brings back memories of that time, I think, for many activists, bad memories.
Another of McKinley's concerns is the lack of accountability to the public where private services are involved.
So, for example, when UJ, students and workers, this was almost 2 years ago, before a lot of the fees must fall, made a request to management to see the contract of the private security, and they refused and said it was a confidential. Why would a university not want to see what is agreed to? In other words, what they've given them the authority to do.
Sibusiso acknowledges that his actions could have led to the harassment and arrest of key fees must fall leaders, but he says it's a job that has to be done.
Esayidini lami angisona impimpi kodwa yonke into eyenzakalayo inendlela yokuyilungisa, inendlela yokukhulunywa ukuthi ibekwe phansi without user violence.
I think one of the reasons why they've turned to private security is because if they turn to the police all the time, then they have to answer to the public. They have to answer to the electorate. They have to answer. But at private security, they have to answer to themselves. And that makes it much more manageable. It makes it much more controlled.
We approached the university for an interview. Spokesperson Kamini Reddy confirmed to Checkpoint that the university is aware of the plainclothes guards on the buses and that they were planted there for the safety of students.
During the time of the exam, there were threats, and in order to protect there were threats made to the bus driver. The plainclothes security were put on the buses. So we do have a contract with Bold Heart. The instruction to record was never ever given to any of the security. The security was just placed in the bus in plain clothes so that the students don't feel uncomfortable, but also to protect the drivers. And that was last year, and it happened. We do not have security on the buses any longer.
But where else has the university planted undercover guards? Are there any in lecture halls? Why were students not notified? And why is it that tactics that hark back to the days of apartheid are being used to deal with fees must fall protests, creating a climate of mistrust and secrecy that universities, still battered and bruised by the protest actions of late 2016, can ill afford? We wanted to ask this and other questions to the university's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Aaron Ransburg. In a written response, we were told that he was unavailable at the time. The university added that in the face of challenges experienced during the student demonstrations of 2016, they implemented a number of measures, including additional security on the inter-campus bus service. The university reiterated it did not instruct any security officer to record student conversations or gain intelligence via these tactics. Our invitation to the Vice-Chancellor to explain who did and why still stands.
After the break, still no action in the case of a student allegedly kidnapped and tortured at the hands of the SAPS. In October last year, Acting National Police Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane refuted claims that police were involved in trying to weaken the Fees Must Fall movement by targeting its leaders, as alleged by students. But the case of Wits student Arthur Mohamelwa suggests otherwise. He says he was abducted by police in Braamfontein on the 16th of October and dumped in Limpopo. He retraced his harrowing journey with Checkpoint.
It began in Braamfontein on the 16th of October last year. Wits student Arthur Mohamelwa says a SAPS vehicle approached him and the occupants got out.
And then they come running towards me.
Arthur started running and more men, some in police uniform, came after him.
I ran for a long distance, got tired underneath the M2 highway, the bridge.
Within minutes, they found him. Arthur imagined he'd be taken to the nearest police station and locked up. But he says they had other plans. They took him on a long and unsettling drive, nowhere near a cop shop.
What I'm noticing, I'm in this car for close to 1.5 hours. And this car is speeding very fast. Surely they were moving at 180 kilometers per hour. Then, because I knew that Hillpower police station was 3 kilometers away and Cleveland close to 5, 6, 7, 8 kilometers. So I was concerned to say, now what's happening? Why am I not reaching a police station?
He was soon to find out. The occupants of the car carrying Arthur, whom he now regarded as his captors, made a stop at the Kranskop toll gate north of Pretoria.
When this other policeman came to me, he told me to strip off my clothes. Which, yeah, I did. Then he started spraying me with this spray.
To this day, Arthur has no clue exactly what that spray was or its intended purpose. The journey continued with Arthur stark naked.
So after we passed by the first toll gate, so they went out of the road. There was this dark bushes after that toll gate. So they went out, closed the door, all the doors of the car, they locked the car. Then they opened the window by the sliding door of the Quantum. Then they threw 2 stun grenades and tear gases. Then they closed. It was that experience.
The torture, he says, took place repeatedly.
Each toll gate, they did the same thing, targeting me, closing the door, did the same thing until...
How many times?
They did it 4 times.
Mohamelwa thinks he was targeted because he helped plan Fees Must Fall protest at Wits last year. He was on the logistics task team.
What I was involved in, basically running political education with other students, because we could sit there while we were sitting, we discuss on how we can improve the protest, how we can get more people to be involved. What do we say to people to get more masses to join us?
Mohamelwa believes that undercover operatives have infiltrated Wits.
They were paying some of the students to give them information about our plans and our leaders, where do we live and everything.
Driving in the back of a police car that night, Arthur was interrogated about the actions of prominent Fees Must Fall leaders like Mncebo Dlamini in jail at the time.
I remember the guy that was driving. He asked me about who gave Mncebo the phone in prison. Who are we working with on the police force? And I was like, I don't know. And Mncebo doesn't have a phone in there. He was like, how did he tweet about his arrest and everything? I was like, how was I supposed to know? Because we're in 2 different places. How Mncebo got arrested, I got told after Mncebo was in prison.
Arthur was driven all the way to Limpopo, where his captors pulled up next to the Thohoyandou River. He was certain they were going to kill him. He says he was forced to walk into the river. When he resisted, they fired shots at him.
So you mentioned that you literally drove for around 5 hours and got to your final destination, which is around here. What then happened?
Then that's when they started shooting. Started shooting in my direction, just...
Shooting with what?
Live ammunition. So they started shooting. Then I decided to...
Were they shooting Pezulu? Were they shooting at you?
They were shooting in my direction, just a little bit far from me. My concern with that was if I run, I'm going to go straight to the river, or these guys are going to shoot me, and they will shoot me while I'm in a position whereby no one can find me. So I was like, you know what, if they want to kill me, let them kill me. I'll just sit down here, then yeah, they can do whatever they want to do.
The police refused to grant Checkpoint an interview regarding the matter. And although Arthur's case was all over the news for days in October last year, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate told us they knew nothing about the incident.
Here we are, we're an independent body, and we're willing to investigate their cases.
Have you approached Arthur Muhamelwa, who made serious allegations of police brutality last year? Have you tried to reach out to him?
No, I'm not sure of that particular case, what has happened there. Well, remember that we wouldn't know who Arthur is. We wouldn't know what has happened to him.
Case?
I can't confirm what has happened in regard to Arthur's case.
Spokesman Moses Lamini says no police officers have been charged in connection with student protests.
We have not received a single statement from the victims of assault or those who complained about police brutality in relation to Fees Must Fall. One of the cases, the famous Shaira Kala case, and in that case also we did approach the family and the attorney, the complainant herself, but there are no statements that have come through to the IPIT. So in a way that affects the investigation.
Why do you think that is? There seems to be this perception held by students that IPID is not so independent.
Perhaps it's something that we need to work on.
He reiterated that students need to come forward, not the other way around.
Basically, there is an obligation on Arthur to come to report to someone, and even if he reports to the police.
Arthur has lost all faith in official channels. He believes the state regards him as an enemy.
They are going to do whatever it takes in order to stop us from calling for free education, and that's how they are trying to destroy the movement.
That's all from us this week. Please do give us your feedback. Our Twitter handle is @checkpoint_ENCA and our email address checkpoint@enca.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Myburgh.